Today, an innocent man was tried.
He was found guilty for doing no wrong.
Today, a king was spit on.
Today, a man who healed the sick was beaten beyond recognition. On this day, one who spoke greater than the prophets would not speak when accused. There's nothing good in this day. It's an evil day, an unjust day.
An unjust day.
But when we know what happens next, when we know the end of the story, and we realize that this day had to happen, it becomes the most amazing, most sublime, most incredible day in history. Then yes, this is a Good Friday, and it's a very good day indeed.
Savior, I come, quiet my soul. Remember, redemption's hill, where your blood was spilled for my ransom. Everything I once held dear, I count it all as lost. Lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, I lay
we have to be led to the cross. The place of execution, the place of death is not where we are inclined to visit. But when we let ourselves go there, we see not only the suffering of Christ, but we also see our sin. Our sin was placed on him as he hung on the cross. Our sin is the reason that he died. He committed no crime, but he suffered as if he had. Spiritual blindness keeps many from seeing the real reason that Jesus had to come. But if you will look deeply into the sacrifice of Jesus tonight, past the bloody, brutal execution, you are actually going to see the amazing love of God, which is greater than our sin.
They didn't know he was enduring this for them, so they could live forevermore in paradise with him. They didn't know one day they'd sing his praise with fear and trembling. They didn't recognize the king that kings called king.
Two others, both criminals, were executed along with Jesus, one on his right, the other on his left. One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God," he said, "since you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we're getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." And then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus answered him, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise."
I am a thief, I am a murderer, walking up this lonely hill. What have I done? No, I don't remember. No one knows just how I feel. And I know that my time is coming soon. It's been so long, oh, such a long time, since I've lived with peace and rest. And now I am here at my destination, and I guess things were for the best. And I know that my time is coming soon. Who is this man? This man beside me, yeah. They call the King of the Jews. They don't believe, that he's the Messiah. Somehow I know that it's true. They laughed at him in mockery, and they beat him till he bleeds. And they nailed him to a rugged cross, and they raised him. Yeah, they raised him up next to me. Now my time has come, and I'm slowly fading, but I deserve what I receive. Jesus, when you are in your kingdom, could you please remember me? Yeah. He looked at me, still holding on, and the tears fall from his eyes, and he says, I tell the truth today, yeah. You will be with me in paradise. Oh yes, and I know that my time, yes, my time is coming soon. Oh yes, and I know that my time, yes, my time is coming soon. is coming soon.
The thief on the cross could see the righteousness, the innocence of Jesus. And he was willing to acknowledge his personal guilt. He was the one who was pardoned, even in the last minutes of his earthly life. He was exonerated by the only one who had authority to truly free him. You see, when we accept what Jesus did for us on the cross, we don't get what we deserve. Instead, we get mercy, and we gain forgiveness, and we get to go free, and we get grace to start again. And the life that Jesus lived while he was here on earth, we get that life. Jesus lost his life that we might gain it. And that, my friends, makes the cross very, very personal.
And can it be that I should gain an interest in the Savior's blood? Died he for me who caused his pain, for me who him to death pursued? Amazing love. You never change. You are the God you say you are. When I'm afraid, you come and still my beating heart. You stay the same. When hope is just a distant thought, you take my pain and you lead me to the cross. One love is this, that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you. And I confess you're always enough for me. You're all I need. I look to you. I see the scars upon your hand. They hold the truth that when I can, you always can. I'm standing here beneath the shadow of the cross. I'm overwhelmed that I keep finding open arms. What love is this, that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you. And I confess you're always enough for me. You're all I need. Jesus, in your suffering, you are reaching. You thought of me. Jesus, in your suffering, you are reaching. You thought of me. What love is this, that you gave your life for me? You made a way for me to know you, and I confess that you're always enough for me. You're all I need. What love is this, that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you. And I confess you're always enough for me. Always enough for me. Always enough for me.
Is this how we remember him? On a cross at Pilate's command. For a man such as this to die as a traitor. Mary, how can love betray?
Oh, Magdalene, this is not how he would have us remember him. Ever since he was a child, he was amazing and he was special. This is not what we remember. The angel of the Lord, when the angel of the Lord told me, he said, he will be great and he will be called the Son of the Most High God. That is who he was.
And as long as I live, that's the name I shall call him. If it hadn't been for him, those demons would still have possession of me. You wouldn't have known me then, nor would you have wanted to. But he did. And he looked within, and he commanded the spirits to leave, and they did. To stand at his cross now is something I never would have thought I would be able to do.
Mary, he had a way about him. I remember how hard it was to give him up to the world that the Father had sent him to serve. I never wanted it to happen. And one day it did happen. And I was so eager to see him bring about all that had been promised. But that day at a wedding at Cana, he looked at me and he called me woman. No longer was it mother. And that day I missed him. And now I miss him, and I miss him just like I did when he was a little boy. And I left him in the temple with the rabbis.
But Mary, there are so many other things he would have us remember. Do you remember how he called the little children to him when the disciples wanted to push them away?
I do, yes. He said, let the little children come to me and do not stop them, he said. Because the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. And do you remember how pleased he was when that leper returned to thank him? He was so full of concern for others that he didn't let the 9 that never returned stop him from celebrating the one who did return with gratitude to thank him.
Mary, why did he have to die?
He must have been preparing us for this his entire life. But we have to believe that he would have wanted us to remember the faith he had in God, his Father.
Abba, isn't that what he called him?
Yes. In my Father's house are many mansions, he said. And he said, I go there to prepare a place for you. That is what he would have us remember and believe.
Yes. We must have faith. We must have faith that there's a reason God allowed this terrible death.
Come, Magdalene. Let us remember the courage of his life and not the defeat on this cross.
Yes, let us go find the peace that he promised to leave us.
He was despised and rejected by man, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The punishment of our peace was on him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all.
The very thing I thought would validate me was the very thing that enslaved me. Shackled and imprisoned to selfish desires and sin, in pursuit of what I thought would make me happy. See, I was searching for something. I was searching for something that could quench the weariness and the thirst of my soul. Desperately trying to fill this bucket, but this bucket had holes. Instead of my cup running over, I was leaking until I met the one who made me whole. He who was fully God and fully man, who knew no sin but became sin for me. The only begotten Son whose love was on display for the world to see. On the cross, he carried the weight of sin and shame for you and me. Nails pierced into his hands and feet. With arms stretched out, he embraced all of humanity. Who is he? He says, I am the bread of life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the door. He's our way in and our way out. I am the good shepherd. I am the vine. I am the light of the world. The darkness cannot overtake me. I am the resurrection and the life. Whatever you need him to be, he is. He is the great I am. You can fill in the blank. Because he is, he was, and he is to come, I can say, I am free. I am whole. I am healed. I am delivered. All because of one name. And that name is Jesus.
The cross has overthrown
give my whole life to honor this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner's Savior, crown him forever. For the Lamb who was slain, he is risen. I give my whole life to honor this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner's Savior, crown him forever. For the Lamb who was slain, he is risen. My chains are gone, my debt is paid. The cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and life for me. Means death to death and life for me.
Where he died. They said it was quieter than most that I had sentenced, and yet the earth shook at his death. Who is this man that can have such an effect on the mighty Pilate? The Messiah, they called him. A king, he called himself. King. 3 times I tried to release you, King of the Jews, and 3 times I could not. What a meaningless death was yours. I guess you think I didn't know about you? Oh, I had heard, let's see, miracle worker, teacher. I had already heard about how people would just flock to him for even the simplest word. Some just went just because they wanted to be near him. And my personal favorite, some wanted to get close just to touch his garments. Well, just look where that got you. You would cause no civil disturbance until now. You even said, render to Caesar that which is Caesar's. This may have ended very differently had you been born a Roman citizen. In my courts, you were beaten and mocked. Yet that would satisfy no one. No. It was death they wanted, and death they got. Now, Barabbas is free, but I'll deal with him later. Before me, your greatest fears came upon me. I have tried many and sentenced them, but in your silence there was great strength. You even managed to strip the mighty Pilate of his power. Look, before you I was weak and indecisive. You saw through me much quicker than I saw through your accusers. You know what I was meant to do. You know why I'm here. And together we could have stopped this. If only you would have tried. But you wouldn't. I mean, after all, I had my future to think of. If I had to turn things around now and released you, the crowd would have come after me. Look, I wanted to abolish the Hebrew law. But Caesar said, no. We need their respect. And so therefore, we should, let's see, how did he phrase that? Support their traditions. There is much not known about me. If it should ever all come to light, I would surely be in a dark, lonely, cold prison cell. So as it was, all I could do was to wash my hands of you and send you into the crowd to be crucified. Maybe someday someone will remember me for my innocence. What little there is of it. So now all I can do is stand before an empty cross, unlike I've ever stood before. There will be many that came after you, Jesus of Nazareth. But you, I won't forget. I can't forget.
Oh, how I will miss you, Jesus of Nazareth. It was only you that could have brought all of us together. There was Simon Peter, there was Andrew, there was Philip, there was the brother of James, and all the rest of us. Jesus, you even included Judas from the start, and yet you knew he would go on to betray you. And although we traveled together for so many years, only a few of us ever truly understood all that you said to us. You would say things such as, "He who knows me knows my Father who sent me." I remember when you said that, but I was thinking, well, my Father I know, for I have seen his face. But your Father in heaven I haven't seen, so how can I know him? When all any of us ever truly knew was our embarrassing feeling of closeness to you. How you would humble yourself to wash our feet when it was us who should have been washing yours. We should have listened more closely to you. Yet your eyes, they just wouldn't let me hold anything back from you. Do you remember I was the first of which you said, "Come and follow me"? I remember. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. But Jesus, I know that I would do that again. You were always wise beyond words. When you were asked if my brother and I could sit at your side in your kingdom, you chose not between two brothers or mother and sons. You loved us greatly. And in your time of need, we fled from you. There was much of me that died on that cross with you yesterday. Do you remember what you said to me when I asked you to forbid people from healing in your name? You said, as you always did, "Those who are not against you are for you." And how foolish I felt. To commit to undergoing life's trials with you just wasn't enough. And now you're gone. You're just gone. You're just gone. You were always putting others first. From your very cross, in your last moments, you asked me if I would take care of your mother. And that I'll do gladly. Had you asked me to avenge your death, I can assure you that that would have been done gladly. And I know Simon Peter, James, the rest of us, would have been no stopping it. Yet you didn't want that. You always told us, love your enemies as I have loved you. I cried when the sword pierced your side. It seemed that you always chose me to be right next to you, right beside you at all times. Yet you were in the garden praying, and what was I doing but sleeping? You told us what was coming. Judas has already ran off, and I was sleeping. I could have been praying alongside of you. I could have tried to protect you. I could have been looking out. I could have been doing anything, but I was sleeping. My life, it's still yours. There's no doubt about that, but what am I going to do now? Where are all of us going to go? And who else in this world is going to lead us? Those of us with enough faith, we're meeting in a couple of days. Speak to us, please, God, speak to us, Jesus. From the stillness of your tomb, speak to us that we shouldn't forget. Jesus, I at least pray that I don't forget.
Approach my soul, the mercy seat, where Jesus answers prayer, for none can perish there. Your promise is my only plea. You gather broken souls, oh healer, draw me close. I'm bound beneath the weight of sin. By war without and fears within.
Why did we have to come here again? Haven't you had your fill of executions?
I just wanted to make sure that it really happened. Have you ever seen such a death, Claudius?
No, I haven't, and I wouldn't want to see another one like it. Something about it put a bad taste in my mouth. How could anyone die asking that his executioners be forgiven?
Well, there was so much strength in his death. He seemed to feel like there was meaning to his death.
So have all the others. If it isn't for the fact that they can't find work, it's the fact that they don't want to be ruled by the Romans. I'm tired of their excuses for rebellion. He's dead and buried. Forget about him, Marcus.
How can you? We beat him like the rest. We even mocked him with a crown of thorns and a kingly robe. And he took it all like a lamb being led to slaughter.
Yes, like the lamb these Jews kill for their feasts.
But did you watch his face? He looked at us with pity. But we were supposed to pity him.
How can you pity such a man who would say that he is the Son of God? He should have been exiled long ago.
Well, those that stayed until his death must have believed in what he taught because there was so much sadness with them.
Soon we will be crucifying them. How can you follow a teacher who preaches that he is the Son of God?
Well, I wonder if he was really as great as what some people say he was. He didn't act almighty.
Don't tell me you're starting to believe that rubbish that was written over his cross. Here is Jesus, King of the Jews. Ha! Some king.
Well, all I can tell you is it takes a real man to die the way that he did and to speak graciously to the thieves that died with him. What are you doing now, Claudius?
I'm looking for his robe. I want it fair and square, remember?
Is that all you're concerned about?
Well, if I'm here, I might as well take what is mine.
What are you going to do with that?
I don't know. Sell it, maybe?
Well, if it doesn't mean anything to you, can I have it?
Why?
Because this death was different for me. I'd like to have something to remember it by. Otherwise, it's just like all the others.
All right, here. Take it. Well, what are you doing now?
I guess it needs to be said, even though it's too late. Father, forgive us, for we didn't know what we were doing.
The cross is an eye opener. It's a soul opener. It's a revealer of truth about our condition without Christ. It illuminates the love of God, a love that would take our punishment. It shows us the great lengths that God would go to in order to rescue us from sin, from ourselves, from Satan, from death. Don't dismiss what happened that day, the day Jesus gave his life. For through his sacrifice, there is healing and forgiveness, and there is life and power for all who choose to willingly surrender their will and their sin and their hearts to God the Father. And there's power to live differently, power to live free because of the cross.
see the dawn of the darkest day. Christ on the road to Calvary, tried by sinful men, torn and beaten then, nailed to a cross of wood. This
standing now because of mercy. I am nothing but a trophy of God's grace, poured out upon a soul so undeserving. When on a cruel cross he took my place.
Though many years of faith are now behind me, I have not forgotten what my freedom cost. For every day I waken to new wonders, and that's why I still glory in the cross.
I still glory in the cross of Calvary. For I would still be lost had it not been for that old rugged tree.
Thank you for coming today. We're here to honor the life of Jesus Christ, 33, of Nazareth, who died in 33 AD on a Friday on Mount Calvary, also known as Golgotha, the place of the skull. Betrayed by the apostle Judas, Jesus was falsely accused, unjustly tried, and sentenced by crucifixion by the Romans by order of the ruler Pontius Pilate. The cause of death were crucifixion, extreme exhaustion, severe torture, and the loss of blood. Jesus Christ, a descendant of Abraham, was a member of the house of David. He was the son of the late Joseph, a carpenter of Nazareth, and Mary, his devoted mother. Jesus was born in a stable in the city of Bethlehem, Judea. He is survived by his mother, Mary, 11 of his disciples, numerous disciples, and many other followers. Jesus was self-educated and spent most of his adult life working as a teacher of the scriptures. Jesus also worked miracles, healing countless people from all kinds of diseases and delivering many people from demonic possession. Up until that time of his death, Jesus was teaching and sharing the good news, healing the sick, touching the lonely, feeding the hungry, and helping the poor. Jesus was most noted for telling parables about his Father's kingdom and performing miracles such as feeding over 5,000 people with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and healing a man who was born blind. He has changed every one of our lives for the better. On the day before his death, he held a Last Supper celebrating the Passover feast at which he foretold his death. Everything he said would happen came true, which is why we are here today. His death has become reality. Jesus' body was quickly buried in a stone grave, which was donated by Joseph of Arimathea, a loyal friend to the family. By order of Pontius Pilate, a large boulder was rolled in front of the tomb. Roman soldiers have been put on guard, and Jesus' life and words will be well remembered by all of us who have followed him. He was always true to his word, always.